Hey everyone, this is Malik with Cloud Adoption Solutions, and today we're going to go over how to add a button or a custom button for a flow to your list view. Now, reasons you may want to do this could be varying. I know a good reason a lot of people would want something like this is to create a custom option to create new records, and then also to perform some other additional actions when they're creating the record so that they have a custom new button instead of using the standard new button here on the screen. Or some people wouldn't want a flow button here to have a custom way to have more customization when creating a record. And so adding a custom button to trigger a screen flow from the list view will help you get that customization that you are probably looking for. Okay, so what do we need? We will be doing this on the contact object, and a lot of these things I've already gone through and built out, but we're going to have to go ahead and create the flow first, which I've also done already. And the flow that we're creating is pretty simple. It's just to update these three fields that we have on the contact, and then we have a lookup to our contact, and we're doing this because this is the way that we're going to get the record ID for the contact that we're trying to update. Now, if you're just creating records from this screen flow, you wouldn't need this. You would just create a record ID variable to hold, or you would just create a record variable to hold the contact values that you're inputting into the screen. So once you have the fields that if you're using this scenario and you have the fields that you want to update and have added a lookup field to the screen to identify the record that you're trying to update, then you're going to go add your update element, and then you'll identify the specific record that you're trying to update, and then the values from those fields from the screen you would assign here. And lastly, this is a second screen for this scenario is good to have to let the user know that whatever action that they were performing went through. So on this screen is just a confirmation screen that tells the user that the record that they were trying to update is successful. And then I also included a link to the record here if they would like to view it from there. And then if you do need the link, or you need to know how to create a link, you would use this portion, create a formula, a text formula, and then you would use this formula here for the first half, and then you would concatenate it with the record ID for the record that you're trying to get the link to redirect to. And I believe that's all we need. So once you've created the flow, and then your flow is also already active, you need to go ahead and create the button. So the type of button that we would create is okay. So you create a button, and when you're creating the button, make sure that you're clicking on new button or link. You don't want a new action. But when you are creating the button, you want to make sure to select list button. That makes sure that the button is available to be put on the list view page for an object. So yeah, you're going to select list button, and then just display an existing window with sidebar is fine. And then you want the content source to be URL. So what's going on here is basically we're taking the URL from the flow, and then when the user clicks on the button on the list view, it's pulling the flow onto that window and then letting the user go through, the different elements that are in the flow. And we have a second section here we have a second section in this URL that we have down here to help us redirect the user to a specific screen after the actions of the flow have been, or the flow has been completed. So this is just redirecting the user to the list view, the recent list view that is in the contacts, their most recent list view. So basically to get this, you would do question mark ret URL equals, and then you want the URL of your Salesforce instance. And then you would also fill in the object, and then list filter equals recent for the most recent. And then, okay. And one thing, so to get the flow URL, you have to go to flow. And so you choose the flow that you're trying to use for the button. And you want to click view details and versions. And then in this section over here, URL, that's where you're going to grab the URL for the flow. And then you would copy that, put it in the button, in the space that's provided when you're creating the button on the previous screen that we were looking at. All right. So once you have the URL, and if you are redirecting it, make sure you have that as well. You will need to add the button to the list view. So go down to list view, button layouts. There will be this selection here. Click edit. You click the caret and then click edit. And then under custom buttons, the button that you just created should be available. And available buttons, you just want to move it over to the selected button side. And then you would click save. Okay, so all of that's finished. Now you need to just click the caret and then click the button that you just created. And then it'll open up a new window that will show you the list view, or the name of the flow. You're going to put in the contact that you're trying to update, for my case. And then click next. You can view the record here. Or when you click finish, it will take you back to the list view that you started at. And that's all there is to it. Now there are some other things you can do with list views and calling flows. The one thing that this won't be able to do is you won't be able to, like, if you're looking at a bunch of contacts and you're trying to select or bulkify them to run in the flow, you wouldn't be able to do that here. There are a few additional changes you need to make to be able to do that, which we'll cover in a later video. But there we are. Thank you very much.